We go.
There we
All right,
go.
we're good to
Great.
go.
That way, those that do miss it, we'll have the recording. We'll share it with everyone. And again, thank you all for being here for our CTA ratification town hall, where we're going to go over the agreements that we have for our bargaining units. I'm Rob Creed. I'm your elected president. We have Regina Gambrell. I know she's going to be joining us. Today's her first day as our newly elected VP. So we're excited to have Regina as well. Also helping with questions and answers is Val Chuchman, our secretary treasurer. You go, there she is waving at us. Thank you again. We have our great executive director, Britt Wegman, with us. And we have several staff members. I see Tara and Chris also helping with the Q&A at the bottom. So thank you again for being here. Again, this is just an opportunity for us to review the agreement that we have so you can make an educated decision at ratification. That opened up today at noon. I voted right about at 12:05 today. So with that, let's go to the next slide.
There we go.
There we go. Yeah, we do have a couple of announcements. So again, ratification opened up today and we'll go all the way until the 12th. We're doing it for 2 weeks. We know we have an Independence Day holiday here later this week. So we wanted to make sure that everybody had time to vote. So please make sure that you go to your school email and do that. Another town hall that we'll be having will be on Thursday, August 1st, somewhere around 5 o'clock. So that would be the day before we go back for the 24-25 school year. We thought that, we're always trying to get our members together and get the most information to them before school year begins, whether it's about SIP waivers or meetings that we're having, or even the required hours that you need to have for your classroom. We're going to cover that in a back to school town hall on Thursday, August 1st. We're going to get you guys a bunch of information that night, and then we'll stick around for Q&A as well. And then our very first rep council will be in September. That will be right after Labor Day on the 12th. And that will be, as always, the second Thursday of a month is our rep council. So if we go to the next slide. And as we talk about our agreement, remember that HCTA and the protections that we have are for members only. And too often we find people that were former members that are calling and have an issue and they want us to help them with it. We only are able to, and specifically around, legal services too, is protect our members. So make sure that you're talking to potential members out there. There have been cases in the past year where people thought they were members and they're not. This agreement, we think, is another great opportunity to talk to members about what they're getting in terms of the compensation this year, and a couple of unique things that will be happening with this agreement, specifically around that first pay period. So please continue to have those conversations about our HCTA membership. We have recertified, we're in that process, and everything's going well with that, but we need your help in building membership. With that, we're going to go to the next slide, and we're going to dig in on some of the things that we've been working on at the table. And we want to thank our bargaining team and everybody that's been showing up well before bargaining began, late nights in talking to the district and getting this agreement at an historically early time. So that way you guys are voting on something before we go back to school. That's something that's been a goal of this organization for a long time. So we're very proud of that. And we're proud about what we're bringing for all of our bargaining units today. So with that, I'm going to pass the mic over to Britt, who's kind of going to break it down for us, and we'll take Q&A at the end. Britt?
Yeah, so I just wanted to kick it off with kind of reviewing what the themes that we were using to direct the team this year. And this was what we call a money year, that we were primarily looking at, pay, compensation, and we were able to open up some language on the grievance procedure. Those of you that have been kind of following know that we've been kind of trying to make improvements on that the last few years. So this was not a full book year. It was primarily for our compensation. And if there were any, major changes in statute that we needed to address, which there's one, which I think will make a lot of our instructional employees very pleased. So our main issues and interests this year definitely, increased salary. That was the number one priority, which mirrors and pairs with the resources to meet the cost of living, which is very difficult in this state of Florida with we'll talk later about the funding that's here. We wanted to kind of look at compensation for extra duty and coverage, professional development, And that's that compensation for timeouts of the workday, especially for our hourly employees. So that's just kind of where we started. We had about 1,100 employees that are our members participate in this survey. So it's important to be a member so you can participate and kind of have your voice in part of what we're doing. So this is a lot of words, and I'm going to walk through the agreement because I think it's important. Later on, we'll show you the links on how you can get to this, but I thought that the best way to kind of go through this is to just walk through it one by one. Number one, I'm gonna walk through the ESP agreement first. The salary schedules are going to be implemented as of today upon ratification. So ratification is going on right now. Once it's ratified and passed by employees and then approved by the school board later this month, it will be implemented and it will be retroactive, meaning back to July 1. And we're going to look at the salary schedules in a little bit, but we just wanted to start with that point. And these are base salary increases. Also effective as of today, upon ratification and approval, all ESP employees will advance one level on their respective pay grade on that new salary schedule. And when we talk about eligible, and this is in our FAQ, eligible means that you must have worked half plus a day of the year. You work half a year plus a day and have an effective evaluation score. So this is also increases the base salary because you're moving a step and the salary schedule is improving. Effective today, as of ratification, employees at the top of their pay grade, so that would be level 24, will receive a one-time additional payment of $2,000 to their pay. So those folks that did not see a step movement, you're going to see a little bit of a base increase to your hourly rate, but you're also going to get this additional $2,000. Number 4, all eligible ESP employees, and eligibility in this case means you have to be an employee at the time that this payment comes out, that you will receive $2,500 in an additional payment for the 24-25 school year to be paid in 2 installments. One payment of $1,500 will be paid on the first paycheck, August 9th. That's going to be a short paycheck. So we were able to get this payment early. And then the second payment, one payment of $1,000 will be paid in the first paycheck of the second semester. That's January 10th. We know one of the large issues that we're dealing with our hourly employees is equalized pay. We have about 60% of the bargaining unit that are not on equalized pay. So this $1,000 payment will be specifically for all of our ESPs on that January 10th paycheck. And I want to say this is also a supplement to base pay. All of these payments are supplemental to base pay. If there are any issues that come up with these pay dates, the paycheck dates, we have an agreement with the district that we will, immediately talk to discuss when those payments will be made. But as of right now, everything is expected to be on schedule. Number 5 for our ESP agreement is that ESC ESP employees, and there's attached job codes, I'll try to pull those up later, shall advance one level. So you're going to get that level movement and be regraded by 1 pay grade. So those are more increased base salary increases for about 1,400 employees. So if you're on pay grade 15, you will go to pay grade 16 and advance your step. If you're on pay grade 20, you'll go to pay grade 21. And it's hard to show this in a big chart because there's so many. But if you have questions towards the end, we'll show some ways to get some help if you're not sure. Also effective July 1, upon ratification and approval, our registered nurses will be regraded from pay grade 33 to pay grade 34, in addition to their step. And our LPNs, our licensed practical nurses, will also be regraded from pay grade 25 to 26, in addition to their step and the base salary increases. The board also will continue to pay for the employee-only health insurance premium for that designated health plan, and they will continue to cover fingerprint monitoring fees. So the total compensation package for our ESPs is nearly $16 million. And again, the agreement is retroactive. So even if you don't get that payment, they don't get the payment will be there August 9th, but let's say for something happens, they don't get the hourly rate increase right away. It will be retroactive. You will get that money back to July 1, and which is important for our 12-month employees. It's also important to note that we secured a clear agreement that these additional payments for all the eligible employees are to be taxed at the employee's W-4 rate. And what that means is this is not taxed as a bonus. The school board also expressed a clear intent for these payments to be FRS eligible based on those FRS guidelines. So I'm gonna put the salary schedules up here, and this is where it gets in the weeds because everybody is on a different pay grade and a different step. So this is the current schedule. So based on your paycheck, if you look at your pay stub in that top right-hand corner, that's going to tell you your pay grade and level. So your pay grade is the number that's on the left that goes up and down, pay grade 15 through 38. So depending on your what your job is, you have a different pay grade. And the levels go from left to right on the top. Step or level 1 or step 1, we sometimes call them 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 24. So this is the current salary schedule, and this can be found in the current contract that's on the HCTA website. It can also be found in the employee relations link on the district website and their salary schedules. You can find this salary schedule. And this is the proposed support salary schedule. And this salary schedule, HSEF agreed to the same salary schedule, which will also be used for those that are non-represented, employees that may be on the schedule that are not part of HCTA or HSEF. So it's hard because it's kind of, you got to go back and forth. You got to look where you are now. So for example, let's use pay grade 15. We got a lot of folks there. And step 10. So you're on that top pay grade 15, step or level 10. On the current salary schedule, you'd be making $17.15. Under our agreement, you will move to step 11, so you will go from $17.15 an hour to $17.54 an hour. So that's your step increase. So you can calculate that based on your number of hours you work and the number of days that you work in your contract year to figure out what your raise will be. On top of that, those employees will get the $2,500 this coming school year, again, in 2 installments, $1,500 August 9th, $1,000 January 10th. I want to say too, one thing that's not in the list of agreements on the economic, that all those words that I just went through, 1 through 9. Another really important and big change that we got in the contract language, which has to do with compensation, is the change to the way comp time is used. We were able to successfully ensure now that comp time earned prior to June 30th each year will be paid if you do not use it. And this has been a campaign that we kicked off in the middle of last school year, encouraging employees to get their comp time in order and submit it for payment. And I have to give great kudos to those of you that did that, because I know that was not easy and probably came with a lot of frustration from folks that were taking your paperwork and saying, hey, we don't do this. And they were right. We did not have contractual language that guaranteed comp time to be paid if you didn't use it. And now we have that. Now here's the caveat, or kind of the but with it. If you earned comp time prior to July 1 today, that comp time can't be paid out. We made an agreement that employees won't be paid on that. However, you will keep it. So if you have 10, 20, hundreds of hours of comp time, you're not going to lose it, but you will be able to use that comp time in lieu of sick time or personal time. So if you have sick time on the books and you have comp time, you can use that comp time in lieu of your sick time and retain your sick time, which for some of you that are thinking about staying around a long time, that is a benefit for retirement. But now moving forward, new comp time that you're earning, if you do not use it by June 30th of 2025, whatever's left over will be paid to you. You will submit for payment. And there is a school board numbered document for tracking comp time. So just be really cognizant of that. And I see a question in the chat about comp time paid out. And again, this is for ESP employees. So some of our employees are 7.5-hour employees. If you work a 7.5-hour day, and in your work week, you do not reach 40 hours. So let's say you work 7.5, you work an extra half hour for an 8-hour day, and you continue to work 7.5. If you do not reach 40 hours total for your work week, that extra time will be paid at your rate of pay. Overtime or time and a half, like we call it, that's only applied to any hours worked over 40 hours. So if you're an 8-hour day employee and you work over your 8 hours and you have more than 40 hours, let's say you get 42 hours, those 2 hours will be time and a half. So it's important to understand and track your time, because that's going to be different depending on what if you're a 7.5-hour workday or an 8-hour workday. So that was a great question. So I know there may be more questions about the ESP agreement. We're going to have time at the end for more questions, but we've got folks working in the chat too to help answer questions. So I'm going to move on to the instructional economic tentative agreement. So like the ESP agreement, it has the same number one, all instructional salary schedules agreed upon shall be updated, which we're going to look at. This means base salary increases. Number two, effective July 1 today, upon ratification and approval by the board, employees in the instructional bargaining unit shall be credited with 1 year of experience and shall advance 1 step on their respective salary schedule. Eligible employees must have worked half plus a day and have an effective evaluation. So this is another base salary increase. So you're moving on your salary schedule, you're getting your step, and there is an updated salary schedule for our instructional and student services. Effective July 1, 2024, employees at the top of their respective salary schedule will receive a one-time top step payment of $2,000. And this is an additional payment to employee base pay. And these payments will be made no later than the end of the first semester. Now that's being very generous. The district's goal is to have that done early in that first semester. But we just wanted to make sure that there was time. And again, like we've said, and we've communicated all along, any of these pay dates, we will continue to work with the district and communicate those out. So those of you that may have been in bargaining can help recall. I remember Danielle mentioning, they wanted to try to get it September-ish. So I would not expect this longevity for either unit, for either ESP or instructional, to be at the last day of the semester. They want to get it out as early as possible, but this is a lot. This is early. We've never settled this early, so there's gonna be a lot of work going in to get these payments in place. Number 4, all instructional unit employees shall receive $1,500 one-time additional payment for the 24-25 school year to be paid in the first semester paycheck, August 9th. And again, should this pay date have to change, we'll reconvene to determine that pay date. And this is a supplement to employee base pay. Eligible employees must be current active employees at the time of payment. Number 5, effective July 1, 2024, eligible employees who are licensed school psychologists, licensed SLP, licensed audiologists, licensed school social worker, licensed mental health clinicians, licensed OT-PT, or certified behavior analysts will be paid a one-time $750 additional payment to be paid at the conclusion of the 24-25 school year. This payment is a supplement to employee-based pay. And for this one, you must have worked half plus a day of the 24-25 school year. So this is not based on last year's work, that's based on this school year. That's why it's at the end, towards the end of the school year. And that's how that payment has traditionally been made. Number 6, effective July 1, 2024, eligible employees who are on the top steps 20 through 25 of the student service salary schedules. And there's 3 of those, depending on if you're a 198-day, 205-day, or 253-day contract employee. If you're on step 20 through 25, so if you're moving to step 20, those steps will be paid an additional one-time $1,000 additional payment to be paid no later than the end of the first semester. This payment is supplement to employee-based pay, and you must have worked half plus a day of the 23-24 school year. And this is a continuation of a supplement that we secured last year for our student services folks. Number 7, effective July 1, 2024, eligible SLPs who hold their ASHA CCCs shall be paid a one-time additional payment of $1,500 to be paid at the conclusion of the 24-25 school year. And this is also a supplement to the employee's base pay. For this one, the eligible employee must have worked half a year plus a day of the 24-25 school year to be a current active employee at the time of payment. For our ESE instructional employees, we've got the attached job codes. and also instructional employees assigned at our exceptional centers. And now we've added school psychologists will receive an additional payment for ESE retention of $1,500 to be paid at the conclusion of the 24-25 school year. And this is, again, a supplement to employee-based pay. Eligible employees must be current active employees at the time of the payment. And I want to note here that there were no positions removed from this payment. We have the original MOU from last school year to kind of help us define who those folks are at the exceptional center. But if you've been receiving this payment, you will still continue to get it. And it's been increased from $1,400 to $1,500. Number 9, this is for our national board certified teachers for their mentoring and accomplishing some of their approved training through the professional learning department. They will continue to receive up to a one-time $1,000 additional payment. And this is paid upon submitting all of the required documents. And again, this is also a supplement to the employee-based pay. And you must be a current active employee at the time of payment. Number 10, this is pay for our national board certified teachers at our Renaissance and Transformation Network schools, who will receive a one-time $4,500 additional payment to be paid no later than the conclusion of the 24-25 school year. And this is, again, a supplement to employee-based pay. Number 11, now this has to do with advanced degrees, and we know we get a lot of questions about this. And this is a change thanks to changes in the law, which are a tribute to the work that our state affiliate, the Florida Education Association, has continued to do year after year, lobbying for changes in this law. Effective July 1, instructional employees will be eligible for an advanced degree supplement regardless of certification area. And as some of you know, if your certification and your advanced degree didn't match in the past, you couldn't get this supplement. Well, that's no longer. To be eligible for the advanced degree supplement, your transcripts must be on file in the Division of Human Resources. This supplemental pay will be retroactive to the beginning of the fiscal year, which is July 1, the year the transcripts have been received, or to the date that the degree was awarded, whichever later. So what that means is, if I already have my advanced degree, and let's say in the past I didn't submit it because I knew I couldn't get it. If I get my transcripts in, but I don't get them in till November, but my advanced degree I got years ago, my pay will be retroactive to July 1, 2024. If you are working on your advanced degree, and let's say you accomplish it and you get it completed in November, and you get your transcripts in, let's say you get them in January, February, you're able to get your transcripts, but your degree was achieved in November. You're only going to be retroactive back to the date of your degree. So this is, I think, a big win. We know that this has been a frustration for a lot of employees who have advanced degrees that make you a better teacher, no matter what you're teaching. And so it was a stupid law to begin with. I think it was a mistake by the legislature. And again, thanks to that lobbying, a lot of you have participated in Lobby Corps. You've probably gone and spoken about this to lawmakers, that the district that we can do this now. They did not increase, so we still have $1,000 for a master's, $2,000 for a specialist, and $3,000 for a doctorate. But we're going to continue to work on this. We know that should be higher. But we do think that this is a big win, that we're now more inclusive. So I want to give a couple notes because I know I've heard this question a lot. If you've already been receiving the advanced degree supplement, you already got it last year, you don't have to reapply. You're good. You will continue to get this supplement. If you are one who submitted your application, you submitted your transcripts last year and you got denied, you don't have to do anything else. We just spoke with Danielle Shotwell today. She's going to be going back and looking at those that had applied and got denied. And she's going to be reaching out to you to confirm that she has all your information. So if you've applied and you got denied, you're good. If you have in the past, before we went to this new system of advanced degree, if in the past you had an advanced degree on file with the district, there will be communication coming in the next few weeks. You know, this has to be ratified and approved by the board, but you'll get directions on how you can log in and actually look to see if your advanced degree is still on file with the district. And if it is, you don't have to reapply. If it's not on file or you've never submitted anything, those instructions will be coming. It will be coming through the Human Resources Department. But again, they're working on their system and how they're going to push this out. They learned a lot last year having to process those. So be looking for that information in the next, I would say, month or so, because again, it's got to be ratified, it's got to be approved. So hold tight on that and stay tuned for more information. Another thing that we got for instructional, number 12, this is an increase. We have some contract language in section 3.4.6. If you're an instructional employee assigned a substitute during your planning time, where you can choose compensation or comp time. If you're choosing to be compensated, we've increased that amount from $18 an hour to $20 an hour. And that's, we know we'd like it to be more, but hey, we got $2 an hour more. Number 13, the board agrees to pay the full cost of an employee-only health insurance premium for the designated health plan. Okay, so they will continue to do that, and they will continue to cover fingerprint monitoring fees. The total compensation package for our instruction unit totals over 54 million. And again, this agreement is retroactive to July 1. And again, same with the ESPs. This is the same for our instructional unit. It is important to note that we secured a clear agreement that additional payments that eligible employees receive are to be taxed at the employee's W-4 rate, not taxed as a bonus. And again, we have this clear intent that they've expressed to us that these payments should be FRS eligible. So I'm going to walk through the salary schedules now. So I'm going to try to leave this up and kind of explain how to read these. So on the left, you have the current 23-24 salary schedule. So that's what you would be currently making. So again, for our instructional employees, on your upper right-hand corner of your pay stub, you have your employee information, and that's going to show you your pay grade and level. Now, for our instructional employees, there will be a letter or a number like E05 or P6 or G17. And then there's going to be a slash and a 1. The E or the P, the G, the Q, that is your rank. That's your step and level on the instructional salary schedule. So you'll need to find where you are. So for example, if you are on E15, right now you're making $58,895. We've added $500 to the base step or to the base salary schedule, and you will advance your step. So you would be going from E15 to E16, which would advance your salary to a base pay of $60,730, plus your $1,500 payment will give you an increase of $3,335 for the 24-25 school year. And this is before your advanced degree or any other supplements that you may be eligible for. So this is how you can read this schedule. So this is our, and then, I'll make a note about our folks at the top, because I've seen this question as well. If you are already on E25, meaning you did not advance a step, you've been at 25, you can't go any higher, your base salary will increase from 72,490 to 72,990. You will also receive a $1,500 payment, and you will also receive a longevity of 2,000. So you would add 4,000 to your 72,990. This is the instructional G calendar. So this is our 12-month salary schedule. So same concept here. You'd have to find your current rank. So if you're E19, you'd be going to E20. You'd be going from 73,924 to 76,048 for an increase with your supplement, 3,624. Same $2,000 supplement at the top. The student service schedules are here as well. So again, if you're on the student service schedule 198, you would find your year either on a master's, specialist, or doctorate degree, and then you'd move across and look at where you would be on the new proposed salary schedule. The top, those steps 20 through 25, those are kind of like a orangish color. That's the highlight that those are the steps that are also receiving an additional 1,000. So you would see an additional payment of 2,500. And our folks at the very top who are on step 25, who would not advance a step, would get the additional 2,000. So your additional pay, so your additional supplement plus your base pay increase would be $5,000. This is the Student Services 205. We had published a version of this that had a minor calculation issue with the hourly proposed rate, which the district caught it, which was good because it put a little bit more money on the new proposed salary. So this is the corrected one that's out there now and is correct on our website. So same thing here. If you click on this document, you find your salary schedule, you find your step, and you work your way across to see where you would be going. And again, if you're having questions with this, get with your rep or call our office and we can help you. And then this is our Student Services 253-day salary schedule. We have a few people on this one. I'll make a note about the A and the B schedule. These are what traditionally folks will call the grandfather schedule, or that's the schedule that for folks that are hired prior to July 1, 2013. If you're one of those folks that is still on the A schedule or the B schedule, you would still get the $1,500 and the $2,000 longevity at the top. That schedule is not increasing though. And the reason that we're doing that is because our folks, if you're on that schedule, if you move to the newer instructional schedule, the E or the P schedule, I believe, whether you're 10 or 12 months, you would make significantly more money. And it is okay to move to that schedule. We got clear on the record. It is clear as day. You will not lose your tenure or your continuing or professional service contract by moving to one of the newer salary schedules. So there's an incentive for you if you're on one of those older salary schedules to move. All right, so before we get too deep into questions, I want to point you to our website that has ratification information and documents for the 24-25 school year. I'm going to go back here and share my different screen. If I can do this. Okay. All right. Rob, can you confirm that you see the website? Okay.
Confirmed. And you're doing a
Cool.
great job, by the way. Thank you.
Okay. I know it's kind of like being in a can. So
Yeah.
if you go to our website, hillsborocta.org/contracts, we have a portion here that has all of our ratification and documents. So you can look at the whole tentative salary schedules that I just walked through. So you can look at the instructional schedules that show the increases calculated. You can look at the ESP salary schedules. They're both in there, the old one and the new one, to do your comparison. And you can look at all the ratification documents. But I want to bring your attention to our FAQ. There's a lot of great information in here, and I'm not going to read through all of this, but I just want to bring your attention that there are answers in here about when you would possibly get retro pay, or will you get retro pay? When will that happen? Who's getting steps? We've heard it just for teachers. We know that that's not true. It's everybody. What does eligible employee mean? Generally, we went over what that means, that you have to have worked half a year plus a day. But depending on the one-time payment or the additional payment that you're getting, you gotta kind of look at the agreement to figure out what that means for you. And again, there's hyperlinks to the agreements to look at them. How much of a raise am I getting? Again, it's going to be individual for everyone, depending on what you do in the district and which salary schedule you're on. So again, we encourage you to look at this. Again, there's answers here about if I have a master's degree, will I get it? Yes. And I kind of went over the directions there. Is there a cost of living adjustment? And I just want to stop here for a moment that, our bargaining team is very well aware that cost of living, what that really means for someone at home versus kind of what the actual COLA stands for out there with the Department of Revenue and Social Security is not, it's not equitable, if you will. We know that inflation over the last couple of years, our increases have not kept up with that. So it is a high priority. But to answer this deeper, I really want to look at this question here. I heard the governor added $1.25 billion to increase teacher pay. So why is my raise not higher? So this is a misleading fact. So I mean, no, and this is kind of a rule of thumb to keep in mind with any politician, right? When we hear these things, we need to fact check. The governor said that he was increasing teacher pay by 1.25 billion, but the truth is that the budget passed by the legislature at his request only has about 200 million more for teacher salaries in the coming school year. And this equates to a salary increase in every classroom teacher's paycheck of about $125 a month, because that 200 million is going to over 200,000 teachers. And there are other schools, you know, besides our public schools, charter schools, all of that is included in that funding. So that does not come close to addressing the massive problem we have in Florida, where we're 50th in the nation. And I think we're 46 or somewhere near the bottom in that per student funding. That means other states in our country, we're near the bottom, put more money towards students. And that's the money that we can look at and work with. So I'm not gonna read all of this, but this is all here for you to look at. And towards the end of this document, when you get through some of these other frequently asked questions, there is more of a breakdown where you can look at the actual Florida Education Finance Program breakdown of that $1.25 billion. Most of that is going to maintain the increases that have already been mandated, right? So there's a slight increase, about 3% is what we're looking at in the entire FEFP. So for us to get, you know, 5 and 6 and 7% increases for folks, even in the form of an additional payment, is a very big win in my book. And can we do better? Always. And it's because we've been underfunded in Florida. It's been difficult through COVID, but that's why we have our bargaining team, and this is why we're here, and we do this every year to continue to make gains. So I just wanted to bring your attention to these talking points and explanation that are here on the governor's budget. So with that, I am going to go back to this question slide. And I think that that's everything I had as far as my presentation. And I thank those of you that have been patient. You've been asking questions in the chat, and thanks to our staff who have been helping with that. So if Rob or Val or if you guys want to add to anything that maybe I missed, or questions that you're hearing out there that maybe I didn't cover, I think this would be a good time to recap, and then we can address any other questions.
Yeah, Britt, I just want to thank you again for a great job in bargaining and a great job with this presentation. This is great. And I'm going to just speak about the agreement for a second. And I just want to start with that every single one of you out there, every teacher, every support employee, everybody that's working in this district for these kids deserves more than what this state is funding for public education. And that's frustrating to me as a lifelong educator here in Hillsborough. You know, and I look at that salary schedule, I see, you know, it's moved since I began 30 years ago when I started in Hillsborough County, but it's not moved enough. But we're going to continue to fight for more. And I can promise everyone out there that this agreement is a good one. And without the union, without all of us together, without our bargaining team and our collective power, we would not even have what we're voting on today. So a couple things I just want to say that, you know, are unprecedented with this agreement is, one, that we're voting on it on July 1st. I mean, that's amazing. And that's really the hard work of this organization, the bargaining team, and really the district's willingness to come and bargain with us. Let's talk about that very first paycheck. Again, I've been working as a classroom teacher for 30 years in this district now. And I remember that I would budget my salary all the way up to the first 2 weeks of school. And then I would collect my check after that first 2 weeks of school, and it would be for a day or two. And I would be like, oh, poop. I'm eating ramen noodles for 2 weeks as I got to wait for a real paycheck. This agreement, every single one of you is going to get $1,500 during that first pay period. That's going to float you to the real paycheck that will come 2 weeks later. To me, as a, you know, when I was in the classroom, that would have been a lifesaver for me and my sodium levels. I promise you. That's for one. The fact that we're doing and voting on this ratification now is another. The days of us fighting for a step and fighting throughout a school year and then waiting for a step into the spring that was not going to be retro, that's another part that would frustrate the hell out of me. And here we are, we have a step, we have an increase to the scale, and then of course that supplement that's coming during that first pay period. These are things that I think are you know, unheard of. Again, that $1,500 that every one of you support professionals and teachers are going to get on that day, that's before you do the bulk of the work. And when have we seen a district forward or front us money ever? So again, that's a victory in itself to what I see. Helping our ESPs in January, those that don't get equalized pay, and that ability to pay their bills in January, I think is also huge with this agreement. And Britt, not only are we able to get money on the scale for our educators, but for our support professionals, they're highly underpaid. It upsets me that they're doing the hard work every day to meet the needs of the kids, and they don't even have a livable wage. And when they come back after the holiday break and they don't get a paycheck until the end of January because they can't have equalized pay, well, at least, you know, this agreement doesn't solve that problem, but it does for the 24-25 school year. And we're going to come back at it because it's ridiculous that they have to deal with that. And also getting their, you know, our ESPs, we're getting paid for their instead of comp time when they're being held, you know, to do extra duties and helping us. The advanced degrees, there's a lot of really good things in this agreement that we've not seen in years from this district. So that I just want to say that I'm proud of all the work that everybody's done, and for everybody here and your unionism in making this happen. So it's taken a lot of work, and you know, again, thank you again, Britt. Thank you, bargaining team. Thank you, members. Thank you, staff. You guys are all integral in making this happen. So it is super important. I apologize, my voice is a little raspy, just coming back from a little bit of illness here, but I'm just excited that we're able to do this and have this conversation. And by the way, even having a bargaining survey that helped drive our bargaining teams, and having this type of town hall to talk about it, so that way you could be educated and talking to others out there about what's happening. These are things we never did before. So these are things I'm proud of, and I'm glad that you're all part of it. Thanks, Brett. I just wanted to get into that for a second.
Yeah. I was just reviewing all the questions. So great questions in
Cool.
the chat. I appreciate everyone with that. So Val, you wanted to add something?
I do. Thanks, Britt. Yeah, I want to agree first with everything that Rob has said. This really was a group effort. And I mean, really, for years we heard, why don't we have a contract ready when we get back to work? And we do. We will, hopefully.
Yeah.
Now I'm just adding on because you said questions. I got a couple emails here, and I saw it in the Q&A about the advanced degree. People are chomping at the bit to get that going, and I understand that. I'm expecting that employee relations will send an email to people, so look for an email to your school email from employee relations. That's a division within HR, and they will give you instructions. You'll probably, if you want to get ahead of the game, get your official transcript where you got your advanced degree from. And they'll give you the instructions, what to do, where to send what, and your payment will be it's going to be divided on each of your paychecks, and you'll see it there as a line, and that's the way that's going to work. So I just wanted to clear that up because I had a lot of questions around that.
Yeah, thanks, Val. We'll share those directions as we get them from the district as well. Make sure that you're checking the newsletter whenever we have updates. We'll make sure they're in there.
Yeah, I see a question in the chat. I saw someone is about to answer it, but I'm gonna, it says, can you list the ESE support folks who will get the regrade and supplement? So just to be clear, this is for our ESPs will be regraded. So if you're in the instructional unit and you have been receiving the ESE supplement, that's going to increase from 1,400 to 1,500. Those of you that recall, last year in bargaining, we had proposed a supplement for our ESE support folks, our ESPs, but the district said, well, we want to put that into base pay. And then we did attempt to present an MOU for ESPs to also get ESE supplement. But what the district did this year was actually regrade all those folks. So I'm going to go back to our website. Sharing. All right. So if you go, do you see this, Rob? You see our website on shared screen?
I do.
Okay. So when we go, I'm going to look at the ESP compensation agreement. This document should have, this is what I just read through all this stuff on the screen. And these are the job codes that will be regraded. Zoom in here for the ESE instructional support positions. So these are the job codes and the job title that will be regraded. So you need to be clear that this is your job code and job title. And if you're having any issues with that, contact us. So I see a question about that the district proposed overtime instead of comp time, but I think your proposal to that, if you had one, was the session, the sound wasn't working. What was the outcome of that? So that has to do with the payout of comp time. So comp time under the Fair Labor Standards Act, which is a federal act, comp time can be given in lieu of overtime. So if you are an hourly employee and if you're working 7.5 hours and you work an extra hour, you should be paid for that hour. Now, you may not be at overtime yet because, again, the overtime starts at 40 hours in a work week. So again, if you're a 7.5 hour employee and you don't reach 40, any extra time you work under 40 hours is at your regular rate of pay. The district came initially saying, we just want to do away with comp time completely. And we only just want to pay folks for their extra time, whether that's time for the 7.5 hour employee under 40 or overtime if you're actually working over 40 hours in a week. So what we countered with was to mirror what HSCF, our sister union here in the district, for years, HSCF has had this ability. You get comp time, you can use it, great. Some people like to have that comp time, to have that flexibility and use it, to take a little bit of time off before or after when you're not on duty. But we also know that sometimes folks are getting so much comp time that they can't possibly use it. And that's where the rub came, right? You are an hourly employee. You should be paid for that time if you're not able to use that comp time, whether by choice or you just, there doesn't come a time that you can use it. So the outcome of the district saying we want to do away completely with comp time was what we have now, which HSCF has had for years, is you can still earn comp time. You'll accrue it through the year. And when you get to June 30th, any comp time that you haven't used will be paid out. Now, that month between June 30th is it June 30th? Yeah, June 30th to, anyway, there's like a month there. I think it's the month of June because that may be hard to use comp time earned in June. We'll have to look at the agreement, but you can still accrue that. I didn't explain that very well, but the point is that if you accrue comp time starting July 1 today into the next school year, you can use it as comp time. You still have that ability, but if you're unable to use it by the end of the fiscal year, you will be paid and then you will start over. Any major changes to contract language? I saw where teachers was changed to employee. That was only in our grievance language. Last year we did some major overhaul in our contract addressing those kinds of terms, instructional, teacher versus employee, because our instructional contract is more than just teachers. So we did a little bit of it this year just because we reopened grievance language, but this was not a year that we could reopen the entire contract. But just understand that if the instructional contract refers to teacher, unless it's very specific to a classroom teacher situation, that instructional contract is for all employees in the instructional bargaining unit. Same with our ESP contract. That's all of our employees in the ESP contract, unless it is explicitly saying something for clerical or something for para employees.
And Brent, there's been a lot of questions about the millage referendum come up. And, that has nothing to do with this agreement. This is our salary structure. We have not engaged the district around millage yet. what we would do and is that we would have an agreement with the district as well around that money. If it were to pass, we'll go through the same exact process that we're going through with you on this one when we get there. But we have not yet made an agreement with the district on that. Only what the district has spoken about in terms of the compensation. But we're going to make sure that we have before we get there, there'll be an agreement made with the district. And so we'll come back to you guys about that at another time.
Yeah. I also sometimes see Chris is answering a question right now about comp time. You know, comp time and hour overtime for hourly employees is really clear. Our hourly employees are what we call non-exempt. That means the Fair Labor Standards Act, when it comes to comp time and overtime, applies to them. It's very, very clear and very strict. We have, over the years that I've been here, I've been trying to propose language that also allows for instructional employees to be paid their comp time. We're not there yet. The district does not have to pay overtime on comp time earned for instructional employees. Again, that's hours worked beyond your regular workday. And I know it's a strange thing because we look at instructional pay on an hourly basis, but you're considered salary and you're our instructional employees are a special category under the Fair Labor Standards Act. So while we don't have pay for comp time on our instructional employees, it's something that we're going to continue to advocate for and propose. And, you know, any of these things that you see that, you know, hey, we've been continuing to ask for it and propose it and have not quite got it. Now's the time. Hey, we start preparing for next year bargaining now. You know, we're going to have this ratified. And when we start school, we won't have to be thinking about what are we going to be bargaining. Now you're ahead of the game. You can start talking to your colleagues about how are we going to organize around this? How are we going to get the information together and the data together to go appeal to the school board and the superintendent? These are the decision makers that have to agree with us. It doesn't just happen at the table. And those of you that have been watching and been a part of this process, you know that we can have, I say this all the time, we can have the most beautiful, perfect PowerPoint with all of the data, calling them out on every quote and part of their budget. But if they don't want to agree, they don't have to. They can just say no. But the way we get them to agree is by organizing, and that's by appealing to them, putting pressure on them at school board meetings. And I'm proud that our members did. We had just before our last session that we settled, we had about 50 members show up. We had about a little over a dozen speakers who spoke eloquently and clearly about what are the issues and what we needed the board to do. And I truly believe that they came back to the table on the 25th with more money and ready to really bargain with us. So that's a long way to say we're working on it.
Yeah, and I would always recommend to all of our members to keep track of your comp time. Keep track of whenever you're covering and doing work outside of your contract. I would always use my my actual, you know, HCTA calendar, and any day I had to cover, I would write down the class I was covering and the hour I was covering it, which usually on a conference period, to make sure that I had a documentation as well of that. It only helps if there's a, you know, a discrepancy.
Yeah. And on the question of comp time rolling over, the only comp time that you will continue to keep or roll over is comp time earned before today. Any comp time earned prior to July 1, you will retain. But moving forward, you can accumulate comp time through the year, but once we get to the end of the fiscal year, it must be paid. Either you use it or it gets paid. You will not be in a situation where you ever lose it, but it will be paid out. So yeah, I don't know if folks want to, I don't think I see hands raised, or, you know, if you've got questions, plug them in the chat. All right. I think, you know, in looking at this last slide, these are some good links. I know some of it's been shared in the chat, but, you know, again, our website, if you have questions about, you know, further questions, maybe something that you heard that you needed a little more clarity on, you know, call our office or write to our HCTA@hcps.net. if you're having issues with voting, meaning you haven't gotten your ballot or you can't find it or something's not working for you, call our office, or you can email directly to Sherry Gunn. She is our extraordinary bargaining and research specialist that helps us with all this, and she's great with that system. She's able to resend it directly to you if you're having problems. And I just want to say, you know, you see these QR codes here, take screenshots of them, share them. You know, the district came initially with $27 million, and that was day one. And without us being there as a union, we would not be in this settlement where we're at right now. We would not be at a settlement of nearly 70 million. That's a testament to our members, and that is what membership is about. So if you're on this call and you're not a member, I'm going to ask you to join today by scanning this QR code and joining us. And if you are a member and you have colleagues in your work site that you know aren't members, I need to ask you to ask them to join. I can't express how important it is to have our membership grow and get to where we were before, you know, the passing of these detrimental laws and bills. But it's so important, our membership and what we do. It shows true power. That is our leverage in bargaining. I hear a lot of folks sometimes say like, oh, if only we could strike. Well, striking takes a lot of work, and that means people have to go without pay and without work. And that's there's a lot of things that we can do in lieu of striking that are much more powerful. So please ask your colleagues to join. And again, if you are not a member and you're on this call, please join today. Anything else?
You know, with that, we're gonna take this video and we're gonna put it up on our, is it a YouTube channel? So that way our members that missed it today can check it out. Again, we have a great Q&A for frequently asked questions that Britt put together with the help of the staff and the bargaining team. So we got some great things and resources out there. We appreciate you all so very much. We're hoping that you're finding time to for self-care and to re-energize. And we're hoping that this is a little bit of a shot in the arm and is helpful in coming back. With that, I'm hoping that everybody has a great, safe, and an amazing Independence Day. Does anybody have anything else? I don't see any hands up.
Yeah. There's a few questions, but our staff's they're jumping on it. So if you're an ESE, if you're an ESE staff and you teach like part, you know, you fall under it, you know, part-time at an exceptional center and maybe you're somewhere else, it would be prorated, which is just how we've done it in the past. Hopefully that's what Tara's typing. All right. I'll let Tara type up, and again, thank you all who are our members, and thanks for everything you're doing in preparing for this upcoming school year. And like I said, once this is ratified, we're going to start preparing for next round of bargaining. All right, I'm going to
enjoy the rest of the summer. We'll be seeing you soon. Don't forget about our virtual town hall on August 1st.
Bye.